Hey guys, how's it going?
Hi, Steve. How are you?
Hey Steve.
Yeah, all good, thanks, all good. How's things over there with you guys in the Emerald Isle?
Oh, good. We're just getting used to the kids going back to school now and having a bit of time to, yeah, work properly without being interrupted.
Yeah, yeah, I know how that one goes. Yeah. So, how old are your kids, if you don't mind me asking?
So they're 7 and 9 now. So the
Okay.
time has gone very, very quickly, as I'm sure a lot of people understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they were
6 and 4 when we
six and
started the business.
yeah, they
So
were six and
Right,
four.
right,
Yeah, we
right.
always say they're our test subjects. So,
Yeah, yeah. You do tend to find that. Mine, I used to run like a review service for toy companies, and my garage was just full. And my kids in toy age when they were that age, they just became so blasé. Oh, look, £100, $100 toy, whatever. Oh, all right, okay, yeah, we'll have a look at that. And just completely ruined them. So you had to watch that. But yeah, all good. So tell me guys, I mean, and tell the people listening, like I'd love to know your story. Like how did you get into doing this and tell me generally how you got into it and what you do.
well, it all kind of started for us at a tattoo convention that we actually attended in Dublin back in November 2019, and it was we were kind of using it as a date night for myself and Kate to get out of the house because we hadn't had too many nights like that. But really it was as a result of us seeing really cool technology. There was an app out at the time called Skin Motion, and it basically allowed you to be able to hold a device such as a mobile phone over, like, say, a sound wave tattoo on a skin. And through the recognition of the graphic, it would simply then play a sound, such as, like, a sound wave of your kid saying "I love you, daddy," or whatever, like this. And we thought this was quite cool, that the technology was able to kind of marry with the physical print, and be able to then do something else. So we kind of took the opportunity. We saw a sign saying tattoo convention coming to Dublin. We took the time to be able to go to that one Sunday night. And when we were there, like, it was an amazing experience seeing all these people getting tattooed all over the RDS in Dublin. But we didn't really see any technology that kind of was the reason that kind of inspired us to go there in the first place. And we felt that it was a bit disappointing because we were like, this is such a creative industry, the tattoo community, that, why is it that they haven't moved on from, literally just ink on the skin? And on the way home, it was a quick conversation where we were like, oh, like, it'd be so cool if you could actually do this. And where it would really work is with temporary tattoos for kids, because kids would love to be able to see these characters come to life in this way. And it was through our research then from that moment on that we actually then found partners who could actually do this for us and make this actually a reality. So over the next kind of course of a month or two, myself and Kate kind of contacted these guys in over in the US, and we kind of sold them our dream and sold them our vision, and they basically were like, look, let's all jump on board this together. And at that point, kind of, we didn't really know what we were getting into, because we kind of thought it was a really good idea and we could see the scalability of it and everything from our very much green eyes, because we were never involved in the toy industry. I came from sales and Kate came from marketing. But that's put us together, sales and marketing, sells toys every day of the week. So we
Well, it
we
was it was you, it was Declan that said to me, I think there's a toy fair on. I think so he did his research. He said the world's biggest toy fair is actually on in February. And this was the November. And he said, let's just see if we can get a stand at that and test it. So that's what we did.
Yeah, we literally took a stand. We stood there for 5 days in Nuremberg, as everyone knows in the
Right.
toy industry.
Yeah.
And what we had to sell at the time was just, tattoos, stickers, books, and wall decals. And really, the response was just amazing for those 5 days. And we kind of knew that we were onto something big because of the response. Like, we had known that AOR had been tried in the toy industry as far back as 2014, 2015. But what we were bringing to market was completely different. And the way it was done and the way it was delivered, and it was the speed and the performance of our app and our technology that really separated us from anyone else who did this before. And it was all brought to market under the one app, which was a really unique selling point.
And a lot of
And
people commented at that fair and they said, we've seen it before, but we've never seen it like this.
yeah,
This is totally
Yeah.
different. And they were really excited by it. So we came back after that fair. Obviously, we were incredibly excited at that time because we knew then it was going to work. And we decided to leave our jobs Declan was 15 years doing his job in
selling
sales.
ads.
Yeah. And I
Right.
was working as a consultant at the time. And we just said, look, let's go for it. So at that point, we had met a good few people at the Nuremberg Fair with Declan and our co-founder, Paul. Really, really lovely community of people. And they had said to us, come to New York if you can, which was in a few weeks. So we went to New York, which was just a phenomenal experience. Went to the New York Toy Fair, did our research in the sense that we could see there wasn't a huge amount of competition. And we could see that there was an opportunity for us to get into this space. And I remember getting on the flight to New York and seeing a girl wearing a mask and thinking, calm down, that's a bit much. But within 2 weeks after we came back, New York was the epicenter of the virus. So it all happened, even though we knew it was coming, it all happened very, very quickly. And I don't think anybody realized, obviously, how quickly it was going to come. So when we came back, the world really did go into lockdown. So while it wasn't probably the best time to set up a business, it did give us an opportunity to collect our thoughts, build our brand properly. And
it actually turned out to be a great time to set up, because as we always kind of say, COVID kind of helped or hindered a lot of businesses, and it really helped us, because what all of a sudden happened overnight was people's accessibility was completely wide open, because you were able to, through the click of a button, access through Zoom or through Teams, experts all over the world. And it allowed us to be able to set up the business. We, as Kate said, we set the business up in that year in lockdown. And over the course of the next 6 months, we literally developed a full range of products that we were bringing to market that, the next Christmas, to be able to trial, test, learn. And that's what we constantly did, is just kind of put stuff out there, see how it sat with consumers, see where the price point was, all that kind of stuff.
We pitched to 1 or 2 retail as well, which gave us the opportunity to kind of just, showcase the range in its early days. But then what we did was we compiled a presentation for the Spielwarenmesse online fair. You might remember it was all digital in 2020. Am I right? No, 21.
21.
Sorry, pardon me, 21. Yeah. So we did up an Instagram live presentation. From my design background, I was able to create a presentation on that. And Nickelodeon actually saw that presentation. So that was, they contacted us directly and asked us then to work with them. So you can imagine this house on that day, because that was, being new to the toy industry, Nickelodeon is such an amazing company. And they asked us to create a range of Paw Patrol products. So Paw Patrol, we've all been through the Paw Patrol phase. Our kids still, like Emily was still obsessed at the time. She was 4. So it was just really exciting. And of course we said yes, that we would. So we then spent the time building out our Paw Patrol range. So when lockdown lifted and Spielwarenmesse opened again in Nuremberg this year, we were able to go.
Well, it was London. London was the first time in 22 when we actually kind of got back into the whole trade show mix. And that was the first time for us to be able to kind of pop our head out physically and shake the hands of the toy community that until that point we were only really seeing across digital screens. And we ended up getting silver as part of Editor's Choice Award at that, which was great, because it kind of it was the first time we were kind of recognized by the toy community for what we did. And then this year we went back to Nuremberg and picked up one of the prestigious toy awards for our AOR tattoos and stickers for Paw Patrol. So that was another kind of big pinch me moment.
It was a huge accolade for us, and to be able to go back to Nuremberg and following London, we knew that we had to create more toyetic products. So we were able to come back to Nuremberg then with a new range of products to launch as well, which is really exciting.
So I think we gave you everything.
Yeah. That's everything. No. Actually, there's quite a few things within there which I find really interesting. Actually, I think the first one I'd like to ask you is about you started with an idea, and like I've seen, like anyone who's been around a while, I've seen a lot of people come into this industry, and some people kind of just come into it maybe because it's kind of a business, or there's an opportunity, or there's something. But quite a lot of people come into it because of an idea. And now you're a few years into it. I'm intrigued to know the degree to which you would credit inspiration versus perspiration at this stage of your journey.
Well,
I'd say it's probably 50-50.
Yeah, well, you see, what's also happened along the way is that, like, we've really seen firsthand, and this is the problem, I suppose, that every business, in order to survive, needs to be solving a problem. And yes, it was an idea that spawned in our heads and that got us talking. But that idea, was definitely accelerated by the fact that we could see firsthand the enjoyment that kids have with technology, right? It's, they love it, right? And the reason they love it is because technology is amazing. It's allowed us to do so much things in our lives, like. But there's nothing better to see a kid you know, and actually have them standing beside their favorite cartoon character, you know, getting them to do a dance beside the character, filming that character, and then showing them that, yes, look, you can actually stand beside one of your favorite cartoon characters in the world and play that back for them on the screen. Like that's a really magic moment for them. But when up to this point, when we started doing this, the only access really from the mainstream that they had to AOR was through social media, such as Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok. But what we always say is, you know, they are literally only a swipe away from unsafe content. So, you know, these are platforms that aren't designed for children. But why should adults have all the fun with this tech? Because really what we're trying to do is give them the same enjoyment with this tech, but do it in a kid-safe way. Do it away from the social media environment, away from the open web. But if you look at kids who do enjoy this technology, there's loads of apps in the app stores. You only have to look at the app stores to see how many hundreds and thousands of apps there are focused on children. But all of those apps really focus on a digital-only experience. Now, we as parents don't want our kids to be solely immersed in a screen. That's because some people kind of confuse what we do, and they kind of say, oh, are you all about increasing screen time? Absolutely not. We're actually about the opposite of that. What augmented reality does is it combines the physical world with the digital enjoyment, or enhances the physical world really, really well. And if you take the pattern of play and the cognitive learning and all of the benefits that's associated with play with children, and be able to enhance that in a digital way, it just makes it more relevant to kids today. So that really fundamentally kind of is the reason why we've started the business. And that's our core values of the business. Like, we believe in leveraging the new technology that's available to us today to enhance children's play and learning experiences. And that's really the main reason we started the business.
And to be honest, I mentioned at the beginning of this, our young kids, they were the inspiration, really, because we could see how much they loved playing with those filters, as Declan said. But, you know, as far as perspiration goes, there's a lot of work that goes into building a brand, you know, building it globally, getting investment, which we did actually during COVID. That's one thing that took an awful lot of time for us to do. And we were very proud to have raised €1 million in our business from some of Ireland's best tech investors, along with our government agency, Enterprise Ireland. So we have worked incredibly, incredibly hard to get to where we are today, but it is that source of inspiration that keeps us going. And we're learning all the time. As I said, we don't come from the toy industry. We never worked in the toy industry. Ireland is very small in the sense that there's not many toy companies here. So,
and the ones that are here, like, you know, have been amazing help, by the way.
Oh, they
Arcade, Lottie Dolls, like, you know, huge shout out to those guys. Because, you know, when we started off, these were the people that we met over in Nuremberg, and they gave us a few pointers along the way. Pork, Bracken, you know, there was a few just really great sound people who have been very much immersed in the toy industry.
And HoloToyz.
And a huge shout out to all
brilliant Irish companies. But because it is so small, there aren't that many. So there's a lot to learn. So we have learned an awful lot since we set it up. But as I said, the inspiration is still there very much, and it keeps us going every day.
Yeah, interesting. So again, there's lots of different directions we go from there. But actually, I think one of the things that might be most interesting for people listening is the whole concept of funding. Because I couldn't really put a number on it, but I suspect I must have spoken to hundreds, if maybe even pushing over 1,000 people who have a relatively new toy business, and eventually, normally one of several things happens. The most normal story, to be quite honest, is people plug away for years, and they make a little bit of progress, just enough to keep them going. But it's just like a slow, hard grind. You do meet some people who have real success relatively quickly, and then often their challenge becomes, okay, how do you proceed from there? Because you've got to deal with, you probably need a few more people because of where the business has got to. You definitely need some more cash flow. Maybe you need a little bit more expertise and advice in that sense. So, can you talk people through what got you to that point of view of raising the finance and the things within what you were doing and your approach that really tick the boxes for the investors? Because I think a lot of people who are listening would be interested in that.
So, I mean, all I can talk about is our experience. Our experience has been amazing, because what we did very early on was we started revenue generating quite early, and with retail lockdown, we decided to kind of take the tact of pointing people towards our website. Now, at the time, we threw up a website together very, very quickly. We've since completely migrated over to Shopify, which is a much better solution. But at the time, it was built in WordPress. It was quite clunky, but still, we had to get it up in order for us to start, selling. So as I said, lockdown was there. It was in the middle of the madness. So what we decided to do is we needed to generate revenue and do it quite quickly. And we did it through influencer marketing. We got a few influencers to be able to use the product, and they pointed people straight to the site. We sold a lot of product that Christmas. Coming into London, that was when we properly launched the product to the trade. And when we were standing there, we were so proud of what we had already achieved in terms of our product portfolio. But our vision was always to kind of create and own an AOR category within toy, because everything we do is AOR enabled. And we kind of knew in ourselves, in our own minds, that if we were going to be taken seriously as a proper toy company, we wouldn't be doing that with just tattoos, stickers, wall decals, and books. Okay. So we met a really great group of people at London Toy Fair who we all kind of sat down with in the months after that and kind of sold them our vision, but also got their feedback around, if we were going to create more toys, a rolling product line for the next 5 years, what does that look like? What's the investment from our point of view? What's needed to be able to, do everything from create physical toys? Where are they going to come from? Consolidation of manufacturing, all that product stuff, finance, everything that completely was new to us. And it became very evident quite quickly we're going to need to put some fuel in the tank for us to be able to achieve this. So, again, we met some great people who we basically put together our investment pitch. And then, as Kate already kind of mentioned earlier on, we got onboarded by our high potential startup unit, which is funded by Enterprise Ireland. So Enterprise Ireland is our kind of government-led accelerator body great supporter of businesses, Irish businesses on a global level. And they onboarded us as part of their HPSU, high potential startup. And that gave us a chance to be able to kind of pitch to, angel groups, investors, VC companies. And literally that's what we did. We got on Zoom and pitched for a period of over 2 to 3 months. And then we started getting traction and people started believing in our vision. And really that's what it's about, is just trying to sell your vision and hope that other people believe in the same vision of what you do.
Well, it's because the investors could see, a lot of them have young children as well. And they could see that, yes, kids love technology, and no, there aren't too many solutions out there that are actually kid safe, which is what we were offering. So, we all know kids love gaming and all that, but having that physical component and making sure the kids don't lose that cognitive development, they were completely sold on that. Our app is Kid Safe certified, and what they loved about it is the fact that it is so easy to use. It's Kid Safe certified, which means it's completely free to download. There's no in-app advertising. There's no data registration. There's none of the messy stuff that drive parents mad, and so that's really what sold them. They could see the potential for something as simple and unique and just really lovely, to bring to market. So that is where and how we got the investment in place. And it's been amazing for our business, because it has allowed us then obviously to go to Nuremberg, as I said, with a whole new range of products, which we're also bringing to New York now in a few weeks as well.
Fantastic. I'm sure people will like to come and have a look at those. I think one of the I really want to ask you about was technology, because technology, it's kind of always sat alongside the toy industry. Like the modern video games industry kind of sprang out from the toy industry, and the thing that always interests me is that, like, all technology is kind of in awaiting the kind of the killer executions. But also I found technology moves along in waves. Like you might see behind me, you probably can't see, but some of the games I worked on, there was a whole period of time when people put DVDs into board games, and I was one of the people involved with that, along with many other people. And it kind of came and went in the way that technology does. So I have a couple of questions about technology, bearing that in mind. I guess the first thing is, what is it about what you're doing which, makes the experience for the child good? Because obviously, whenever we look at technology, often you get companies that get very distracted with the whizziness of the technology at the expense of the experience. Then I guess the next question is, when you're planning your business, like, how do you plan for the way that technology changes? So I did a training course years back, and the whole point of the training course was, Kodak used to be the people in kind of total control of the photography market, whatever, camera films or whatever, and then it was Nokia. And now it's actually a joke to even think that Nokia was like held up to be, and I don't mean that disrespectfully to anyone who still works at Nokia, but obviously the world's moved on again. So that happens with technology. So I guess two questions are: one is, how do you focus on delivering that experience with the technology, and also how do you future-proof yourself against future technological advancements and changes?
So I think just to answer your first question there, Steve, what is it that makes the experience good? I suppose from our point of view, it's always been, because we have experienced obviously technology with toys in the past, and we have been frustrated by the user experience. So I've come from a graphic design background. I also worked in advertising and marketing, and I worked on an awful lot of big brands and apps. And, you know, you might remember when Facebook started including apps first, and it was all we've all come through that tech development stage. So for me, a huge learning has always been just keep it as simple as possible. And I think sometimes when people get, you know, ideas where they want to incorporate tech into play, they overthink it and complicate it. And I think that's what we do brilliantly, in the sense that we keep everything as simple as possible. So it's designed for a 3-year-old, 3 to 8-year-olds really, to use. So even without their parents, they could, you know, figure it out. But what we will always say as well is that it is meant to be a shared experience with the child. So, for example, with our books, we have sea creatures, dinosaurs, and pet books, and they teach children about the creatures in a really unique way. So you can use the books, you can read the books without our app, but you can download our free app and bring the creatures to life in 3D animation. So again, people say technology. Yes, we call it technology, but actually if you break it down into a child's world, it's like this magical 3D animation, which is just really fascinating. And it's a whole new way for them to learn, you know, to see the creatures jump to life like that. So
kids don't necessarily care too much for technology. They look at the experience that they're having, and they see something jumping out of a book that they have never seen before.
They see a dolphin jump out and make noises, and they can swipe the screen and make the dolphin move and hear the sounds and zoom in close and see the texture of the skin. And I know if I was a child, I would have learned an awful lot better if I had that immersive 3D animation. Like it's 3D animation, you know. And the sound effects and everything. So it's just a whole new way of learning. So again, everything we always say is just keeping it as simple as possible, so that if they have the same experience if they were on social media, it's a quick hit, it's really easy to use. Our tattoos and stickers for Paw Patrol, which we won the toy award for at Spielwarenmesse, the judges commented on the easy introduction and safe introduction to technology. And they commented that it was just so easy to use, you know. So you put on the tattoo of Chase or Marshall or whoever it is, Sky, scan them, and all of a sudden their favorite character jumps to life. And as Declan said, then they can tap and place that character in the room beside them and get photos and videos
at a really accessible price point.
Really accessible price point. Like our tattoos and stickers are only $5.99. You know, they're not expensive. So, so that is what makes the experience as good as what it does. It enhances that digital physical experience. And as we always say, our products still work fine without the app. It's just that just adds an extra layer of magic, and it is magic to kids. And then in terms of planning for tech changes, you know, I've been working with augmented reality going back 13, 14 years now, showing my age, but I've always been obsessed and fascinated by this technology. And I can see how much it's advanced since, you know, its early days, obviously going back to the 80s when augmented reality was introduced first. But you have to be prepared for that, and you have to see where it's going. And I know every second person is mentioning AI, but I mean, that is where it's going. And we, along with our tech partners, are very aware of that. And I think AI can only serve to help and improve the technology as we go. But I think we just have to use AI carefully and cleverly, because it is a creative tool as well, you know. But
I think also advancements in technology needs to marry your ambition as a business, because, you know, we spoke about us all sitting down and do that rolling 3 to 5 year plan of product. You know, within that rolling plan is also our ideas around the technology and what we can push the technology to do. And, you know, we're not giving away any trade secrets here, because this technology is already out there, but like speech recognition, you know, body tracking, all that really, really cool stuff that allows kids to be able to kind of just have a better experience. Again, the technology and the wording of it and the acronyms that are associated with it is complete boredom for anyone outside of the world of fun. But from a kid's perspective, they just want to have fun. And you know, we just need to be able to navigate what is fun and what is not.
So like if we're pitching, you know, AOR toys, people get bogged down in the fact that it's AOR toys. It's not AOR toys. We're bringing kids' characters to life in a way that's never been done before.
Yeah, because there is a little bit of a AOR is nearly a dirty word in toy, because of the way it was done previously. It was slow, it was clunky, you know, and we've learned so much from people's experiences previously, and that's what we had to kind of go back and say, well, let's look at the ones that didn't really succeed, but then people also kind of forget about the huge success stories in this area. You know, Pokemon Go is just a massive success story, and still is today. And that's purely just an AOR game. So,
but also if you look at the last 3 years, the likes of Snapchat has pioneered it, Instagram and TikTok. They weren't around when the toy industry was experimenting with AOR in the past. So, you know, and the thing is with the toy industry is one of the most creative in the world, which is why I love it so much. And obviously at every point, toy inventors want to bring innovation to the market, you know, so they would have brought AOR to the market at a point in time where they would have thought, oh, it's accessible now. People, you know, people can use it and they can download the apps. They have the devices, but the devices weren't ready for it. The technology wasn't ready for it. The social media channels weren't there, so people weren't aware of how it worked.
Parents didn't really want to give the phones to kids at the time because they were afraid they might, you know, crack the screen or whatever. Whereas like you look at the iPhone 14 and the ad, I think it was 14, where it was like, you know, toddler proof. That is essentially the way they marketed it. That, like, you know, you can give your phones, and the insight is built on the fact that today kids entertain themselves with technology, with phones, with iPads. You know, it still kind of kills us sometimes when people are, you know, you always meet one at every trade fair where they go, but kids don't have phones. And you're like, you know what? You can just keep going.
Just look at the stats for Roblox downloads and tell us then how many kids don't have phones. You know, I think it's like, oh, sure, I won't even go into 70 million. But yeah, I mean, and I think as well as that, you know, there's talk of advancements when it comes to glasses, you know, all these kind of wearables and everything. Yes, you can talk about that. Yes, you can plan for it. I don't believe it's going to happen as quickly as people think, because I think it'll take a long time for people to adapt to that change. But I think, you know, people sometimes say to us, but how will they know how it works? And, you know, they're forgetting about the fact that they're on social media all the time. So they're used to this technology now, you know, whereas it wasn't there, as I said before, when it was tried. So I think a lot of we're in a really good space with HoloToyz, and when it comes to consumers now, any consumer that has bought it from us has commented on just how amazing the experience is. So
timing is really important, and
timing is key. Actually, there's who is it? Steve Klitzer,
Dan Klitzer.
Apologies, Dan Klitzer, who's the inventor of Bop It. He had a quote whereby he said, "You can only sell a toy when it's right," and this really stood out to me on a podcast I listened to, and it said you have to have your relationships, the idea, the timing, and the execution.
They're like four legs of a table.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said you need the four legs to hold up the table. And that really stands for us at HoloToyz, because we have, you know, really great relationships in the toy industry. We have a great idea, we believe, and the timing is brilliant now, you know, because people are ready for it. And the execution obviously is.
The way he spells it actually is capital O, small I, lowercase I, capital T, capital E. And the reason for that is he actually felt that the idea was actually the least of the important of the four. Funny enough.
But timing.
Bop It's an interesting one, actually, because I have a little bit of experience with Bop It. So, I mean, this is so long ago, I'm not giving away any of Hasbro's trade secrets. This is like 20 years ago I would have been working on it. But Bop It was like the number one some years in games, if you can call it that. And at the time, it was kind of very much like just left to do its own thing by our teams at Hasbro. And it's like, well, why is it so successful? And actually, it's the experience itself. And a lot of the bigger the toy company is, the more they rely on shifting large numbers of boxes to big box retail, like we spoke about before we started recording. What happens is, if it's not got big marketing, you just ignore it. But actually, sometimes what happens in this industry is the experience actually starts to sell itself. So sometimes Bop It's a classic example of that, where with comparatively speaking, you know, very little ongoing marketing in my markets I was looking at in the UK and some of the other European markets, it was selling huge numbers because the experience itself was so fulfilling. And that's why I actually think you're set for success, because you've clearly spotted that technology is the enhancement. And I always talk about my favorite toy, wherever he's hiding in here somewhere, Interactive Yoda, which was like one of the sequels to Furby from Tiger Electronics back in the day. So it's maybe like 24 years old or something now. And like, it still works. You know, you turn him upside down, he still says, upside down am I? Put me up, you know, like all this stuff. It's still a brilliant toy, but the reality is the technology is so you can hear the motors working, and the modern day child would think it was cool, but we're like, what's that noise? You know, whereas now Furby, which was relaunched, in the end, like, look, the shell still looks the same as 20 something years ago, but all the technology inside has massively enhanced the true interactivity, and that's obviously the key. But the other area I really want to talk to you about, both so you can tell people about what you're looking for, but also so people understand your journey, is I'd love to know more about it's kind of a little bit more boring than the product in a sense, but it's the most critical part also commercially, is the distribution. So I'd love to know where you're up to, the kind of countries you're already placed, how that's going, and also, obviously, if there's any countries you're looking for, then, you know, some distributors will be listening to this, and maybe I'll give you a call after. So can you tell us more about your distribution and how that's going?
So yeah, so we've had a great journey so far, and a lot of this is obviously as a result of success at toy fairs. As we all know, toy fairs are you know, where basically everyone does business, you know, for the year ahead or 2 years ahead. So along the way, our one of our most longest serving customers is actually, remember we were talking previously about when we kind of tried this whole thing as a litmus test in Nuremberg in 2020, just before COVID hit. I remember we met these two guys, amazing guys from France, on the Friday morning. I had a meeting at 9 o'clock, and they're now on their 21st repeat order with us. You know, and it's just that's a great kind of testament to a customer meeting you, you know, before even the business was properly set up, and we're still doing business together today, which is amazing. And they've been brilliant. They've been servicing over 1,000 stores in France, all across France. So they've been amazing. Since Nuremberg, we even after that, we kind of tried in a few other different countries, selling ourselves independently into retail, direct to retail. But really, we always know that the distributor model is really, really important to us, especially around European countries. So we decided to kind of go on the hunt for distributors, and we did that really at Nuremberg this year. It obviously did help that we had won the Toy Award. It gave us exposure. It gave us PR. It also kind of double desked us amongst the fair in the HoloToyz trend, because we were selected as part of the trend committee under the HoloToyz, or, you know, AOR/VR toys. We're very different, by the way, with VR. We don't do anything to do with VR. It's all AOR, but they kind of lumped us together in the same kind of category. So that kind of gave us the exposure that we needed this year to be able to attract some really, really great distributors. We're now working with a great distributor in Greece, who's looking after Greece and also Cyprus. We're working with distributors in Spain. We're working with distributors in the Baltics and Balkans. We've now recently appointed a distributor in New Zealand and Australia, and also in the UK and Ireland. So that's kind of our main focus for distributor-led business. And also Hong Kong as well.
Yeah. Just shipped our first order to Hong Kong, a fabulous distributor we met in Spielwarenmesse, and we're delighted to be working with Cap Toys in the UK and Ireland. So they are a fantastic team who are really passionate about our range as well. So we're excited that hopefully you'll see our range in stores across the UK and Ireland now very soon. And we're now preparing to go to the New York Toy Fair in 2 weeks to launch our range, and we're working with a sales agency in the US for that. So it's an exciting time. From what we have, and as well, sorry, just very quickly, one thing we have learned, and a key thing that we have learned in the toy industry, is that licensing is so important. So when we came to market first, we were going to we kind of planned on a 80% own IP, 20% licensing, but obviously we've learned that we need to kind of flip it the other way, you know. So we're now very conscious that licensing is a key element of our business. So that has helped us with a faster route to market. So now we're working with, obviously, the team at Paramount on Paw Patrol, and we're delighted to say that we're adding a whole new range of products like jigsaw puzzles, magnetic puzzles, you know, books down the line, tattoos, stickers, activity sets, t-shirts, colouring sets, everything. So that we have a whole range to bring with us to the US, which is brilliant. And then we're talking to one or two other key licenses that we'll hopefully be able to announce pretty soon, and really exciting partnerships. So our distribution at the moment is, you know, it's good, but obviously we would love to increase our distribution in various different territories as well.
it's also very important that I think we talked previously before this about the fact of finding the right person is so important. And you know, the people that we are choosing to do business with now, like we've learned so much by, you can waste so much time talking to the wrong person. And you know, the people that we have right now that we're doing business with are all just so amazing. And it's because we all share the same belief in what we do, the same love for the product, but also the same energy and the vision as well. They're proper visionaries. Like, you know, they're just, you just get on with these people, and it just makes such a difference when you're going to market with something that you don't have to convince people. You know, I think the moment the moment we back out of any conversation is when you have to actually convince someone of something.
But I love the fact that a lot of our partners are so passionate that they'd send us emails saying, guys, how about we do this? You know, they're almost like innovation partners as well. You know, they're almost like an extended part of our creative team. So that's brilliant, because it feels like they're just team members, you know, and that's how you're supposed to feel, like they're kind of, you know, a limb in your business, you know. So we've been really lucky in the people that we've met, and obviously that's why the likes of going to the Shibuya Boulevard Messe is so important. And we're hoping that New York will be the same. I think there's record numbers coming to New York this year from what we've heard. And we've got a good few meetings in place at the moment. But yeah, look, we're always looking to speak to distributors in various different territories. So anyone who's listening who wants to speak to us about distributing.
Well, retail, it will be a retail-led kind of model over in the US. From what we understand, that seems to be more the way toy companies are selling over there. So yeah, shout out to any retailers who want some really cool products on their shelves. And distributors, come and see us in New York,
and distributors across Europe as well. Yeah,
sounds good. Well, we're running a bit short of time, so there's just one proper question I have left, really, which is so if you see where you are now, and if you fast forwarded to, you know, New York, say 2028, or Nuremberg 2029, what would things look like? Where would you be? You know.
Well, our vision, as Declan said, is to create and own an AOR category within the toy industry. So we would love to be that number one. When parent walks into a store, that they say, right, I know that HoloToyz has an amazing range of products, and we know that we can trust it. It's completely safe. Our kids love it. We know how to use it. We have the app that works across all the products. So we want to be the number one recognized and loved toy brand in the AOR space. We would love to have a very broad range of products, ranging from a collection of STEAM products and educational products as well. But, you know, there's a lot of talk around educational products, but they'd have to be fun as well, you know. And obviously we'd love to have a lovely licensing arm to our range as well. But more than anything, I think we'd love to just be the number one recognized and loved and trusted toy brand in the AOR tech space, connected toy space.
I think we both have a lot more wrinkles and maybe a few more grey hairs as well, probably.
Yeah, I didn't have this grey hair when I started.
Yeah. Never growing old. You can't grow old in this industry.
Young at heart, that's the thing. So yeah.
You have to stay young at heart. Yeah, that's the best thing about working with toy.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Well, thanks so much. It'd be interesting to do this again, maybe in 5 years' time, and see where you're at. But this was amazing. Thank you so much for a great conversation. Appreciate your time.
Thanks, Steve. Thank you so much. It was really brilliant. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Steve.
Cheers.